I'm sitting with Joshua Seth, voice actor of Akira. You may know him as Tetsuo. You may know him as Tai in the Digimon series that ran for a very long time. He's been in quite a few features as well as the character Tai. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Just got off stage, did the whole Q&A with the fans here at the Comic-Con. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. And then actually I'll help inform some of the questions that we have today. Let me first ask, how did you kind of break into voice acting just from the get-go, from your trajectory out of maybe school into Hollywood?
Yeah, I had a radio show in college. I went to a performing arts college in New York, and on the radio show, I would do funny voices, and I had a tape by the time I graduated. And so that got me a Hollywood agent. And then it was just a short 7 years of kicking around in L.A. before Digimon hit. And then because it was a #1 show, Saturday morning cartoon, and I was the star of it, that led to all the other work in almost 100 animated TV shows and movies and video games that I voiced after that.
When I think it was 2001, Pioneer did the dub for Akira, obviously, which is a massive cult classic. How did it feel, or how did that opportunity even come about to be? I know that was a huge influence on you as far as animation and Western audiences kind of consuming for the first time in a big popular way. How did it feel to be offered, and how did that come about?
It's the thing of which I'm most proud in my voiceover career. And it was the first anime I had ever seen because I saw the original theatrical release when I was in film school in New York. And I came out of that theater thinking, wow, I could do this. I could be a voice actor. And then some years later, when they decided to remaster it and redub it and with a digital Pioneer release, they asked me to voice Tetsuo, the lead in it. So my whole career came full circle. You can see it now on Hulu, and it's always in the #1 position of every sci-fi anime list, the like greatest anime movies of all time. So yeah, Tai on Digimon is what gave me my career, but Akira is what I feel was the pinnacle of that career. Yeah, it was like the crowning achievement of the thing that I was striving for back when I began a decade earlier.
And now while we're on the subject of Tetsuo, obviously there was an announcement Warner Brothers is looking to tackle the 2021, I think, release date for summer with Taika Waititi, which is pretty exciting. He's been doing some really good work with What We Do in Shadows, Thor Ragnarok, and so forth. Tetsuo obviously being such a huge part of that story. Is there anyone that, if you had to come with it, when it comes time to the casting of that film, that would come to mind that you think that could do that role justice?
I would not presume, no, because anything I say, there have been people attached to this project over time, like Leonardo DiCaprio or Keanu. Yep, and Keanu Reeves. And I love The Matrix; it's one of my favorite movies. But I have no idea who's going to be attached to this new project. All I can say is I feel like it's different this time. I feel like it might actually happen now that they've announced a director and there's so much public support for it. Plus, Akira takes place in the year 2019. So this is the future that they imagined then. Yeah. So there's synergy around it right now.
Yeah, exactly. As far as the characters that you've voiced over, since you have a massive body of work, I think Xenosaga is something you've kind of done for into video games amongst others as well. Is there a character that you feel that it took the least amount of work for you simply because it embodied the most of your actual personality to portray?
Yeah, again, that would be Tai from Digimon because I'm playing him as me. I'm playing him as an aspect of me, the friend, the leader, the aspects of my personality that I find most admirable. And then the parts of my personality, we all, have many facets to our personality. Those parts of my personality that I found least admirable, they would be front and center in a character like you mentioned, Xenosaga, like Chaos from Xenosaga, or some of the other villains that I've played, like Young Knives from Trigun, for instance, or Tetsuo and Akira. Although he was a good guy in that. Yeah, so I feel like as an actor, the best approach is always to take those parts of your own life experience and personality and find where they intersect with the character so there can be some authenticity and realism to it.
Well, being no stranger to animation, since you have so much credits in it, before whatever job when you ended and you got offered Digimon, did you see it enduring for so many years? Like, was it something that you were like, okay, when you got the audition, you did it, you're like, wow, I'm sitting. This is a gold mine. This will be something that will endure. People will remember it. It'll have fans. It'll blow up. Or what was your initial reaction when this project came your way?
We knew we were making something special. And of course, the first Digimon movie was wide release in theaters all over America and the English-speaking world. But we kind of thought that would be it. Because there was no Netflix back then, there was no YouTube, there was no social media. Because of these sorts of platforms, old projects can have new life. And with new life come new fan bases, and those fan bases need to be fed. And so that's why we're doing Digimon Try now, or we've come up with 6 new movies in the last few years. And that's because the fan base keeps growing, and growing in ways we never could have conceived of 20 years ago when it started.
Absolutely, and with the convention, you get to meet them all from all the travels. You get to see actually the scope of how many people will turn out to see and commemorate your work. Is there a particular project, since you've stepped away and you've kind of done a little bit more recently back into voice acting? Is there anything that you look back on, one particular project you'd say, hey, I'd love to revisit that in a heartbeat? Just anything come to mind?
Well, I was in the SpongeBob movie, and now that I have my own kids and they like SpongeBob, I would have loved to have continued that association. Also, I'm a fan of the Curious George cartoons, and I think that Frank Welker does a great job as Curious George, and there's some characters in there that, like for instance, my friend Laura Jill Miller, who played Kari, my younger sister in Digimon, she was in that, and when I saw that with my kids, I thought, if I were still in LA, if I were still in voiceovers, that would have been a good project too. But I wouldn't trade what I've done for anything, because as a result of stepping away from LA and voiceovers, I've been able to travel the world with my live stage show, and that's been an experience beyond anything I could have anticipated at the time, and so far different from being in a recording studio every day.
Gotcha. And as far as the future goes, do you see any major things that you want to talk about? Any projects that are in the works that you kind of want to get out there that you're in the middle of?
Well, I've heard that they're going to be working on another Digimon film, a Digimon 2020. I've heard that through social media, but not directly from the producers. Nobody's approached me yet, but that would obviously be great to continue the association that's been going on for 20 years, so hopefully that occurs. Heck, if somebody wants to call me to do a walk-on cameo in Akira just to satisfy the fans of the anime version, that would be fun too. But beyond that, it's the live shows that I do at theaters and colleges and corporate events, and I've been moving more into keynote speaking about what happens when science fiction becomes science fact, and the need for innovative, creative thinking to acclimate to all the changes in society that were anticipated 20 years ago in Digimon, but that we're grappling with through technology now.
Makes sense. Well, to wrap things up, I just want to ask you, is there anywhere that we can find you online, kind of follow with what you're up to, and keep up with what kind of projects you're putting out?
Sure, I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, Joshua Seth, or joshuaseth.com if you want to see what I'm doing in terms of the tours and the live shows and speeches.
Okay, and to wrap this up, as a massive Akira fan, is there any line from Akira that you're ever asked to recite simply because that's such a cult favorite?
It's this screaming out, Kaneda! Which sounds like I'm yelling at a country, but for those that know there's
a lot of names. There's a lot of name of Tetsuo Kaneda back and forth going on there.
There's a lot, yeah. Guts on the floor.
Well, that's Joshua Seth, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate you giving us the time today.